Howdy ho ho, my good humans. How the hell are you doing? This is Unnecessary Rambling. I'm Brandon Sylvia. I appreciate you for tuning in. Appreciate you for stopping by to do some ranking all the games that I have played in June and July. So initially the plan was to get Loon in on this and for us both to do our ranking of the games we've played, but unfortunately the homie Loon caught the COVID. So best wishes out to Loon. But hopefully next time this month, we'll come back and rank everything we played throughout August and then get some of his takes on the games he played through June and July as well. We're going to kick this first one off solo dolo here, but we still got quite a few games to talk about. I think I got like 10 or 11 games on the list that I've played over the last couple months, so still some good shit to dive into. So as you see here, we got our typical S through D tiers, and then we got our did not finish but enjoyed tier and our did not finish and did not enjoy tiers. So how about we go ahead and kick this thing off? And obviously we have the games down here below that I have played over the last couple months. And let's go ahead and kick it off with Balatro. This has been my most recent addiction. I think I've put like 13, 14 hours into this over the last few days. Just man, it's one of those games that you can play endlessly. It's describing it is almost pointless. It's one of those games where when you look at it, when you really get your hands on it, that's when you begin to understand it. It's built as a roguelike deck builder kind of poker style game, but it's really just one of those games you have to play to get a real understanding of. And it's a little bit of all those things, but it's like entirely its own thing, which it's a game that I just got so addicted to learning. Like I just wanted to learn every little thing about how I could possibly win a run. Because I mean, I played this, I just won a run last night, and like I said, I put whatever 14, 13, 14 hours into this thing, could not win a run. And it was one of those things where I don't want to look anything up for Balatro. I just enjoyed the experience of learning. It's like, okay, now I got these multipliers. What exactly do they? Okay, so that's what they do. And then I got these other ones where they add chips. The blue ones add chips, the red ones add multipliers, which is more effective for each run. And I really ended up just doubling down, tripling down on Joker cards and Celestial cards. Pretty much prioritize those every time I would finish a round and go to the shop. I would just buy those nonstop. And in my situation, I ended up finding that multipliers and then the celestial cards where you could, so say I had a joker that would allow me to get times 12 per every straight played. I would find that getting using that and then getting the celestial card where it would level up all of my straights. And so I'm just kind of trying to combine these whatever. I'm really prioritizing the jokers over anything, and then basing what I get from the jokers and then kind of adding the celestials to benefit what the jokers are already giving me, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Once again, it's really just one of those games that when you play it, you get it, but listening to someone describe it, at least as unintelligently as I'm describing it right now, it's not going to do it justice. So, Balatro, man, fucking incredible, incredible video game. I'm going to throw it in. So, I don't think it's, I'm going to throw it in the B tier. I don't think Balatro is like game of the year contender for me. It's probably somewhere in my top five ish, but it's not like up there with the Dragon's Dogma 2s and another game we're going to talk about here in a second. But it's not game of the year contender level for me. It's just a really fun addiction. And I mean, it also is mechanically sound. It's really well designed. It's really well balanced. It always feels like you fucked up. When you fail, it always feels like you fucked up. It never feels like the game is unfair. It's mechanically and structurally really, really, really sound. But it's still not game of the year level contender for me personally. It was really funny though. Like I'm actually sitting there on when I finally won a run. I think I grabbed some gameplay of it, so I'll try to include it in here. But you'll literally see me sitting there and just counting up the cards. Like I literally pulled out my phone and I'm using the calculator, trying to add up my multipliers and then trying to add up what my straight is going to give me or what my flush is going to give me based on the multipliers I have in place at the time. So I'm trying to add up all this shit, and so you do get really, really invested into Balatro. It's a fun time, and it's a really, really fun, chill, but also addictive and kind of adrenaline pumping game. It's one that's really hard to describe. They pulled off something pretty brilliant with Balatro. College football 2025. The wait is finally over. 10 years of waiting for this thing. We finally have it, and it's a good game. It's a good game. I think if you want to critique this thing, you can do it from a myriad of different angles. There are so many critique worthy things about college football 2025, especially from a game mode perspective. I think that Road to Glory is, I mean, bare bones, bare bones. Not being able to create your high school, not being able to play through a high school playoff run to build up your, recruit status. So you, from the start of Road to Glory, you just pick if you're like a 5-star, 4-star, 3-star recruit. There's no, you don't even have drills that lead you into it. Like you remember back in the day, you had at least the 40-yard dash in college football. Was it 2006, 2007, where they introduced where you just tap an X over and over and over, and you had like a few drills, and then that would kind of lead you into what stats you had and what attributes your player had going into your freshman year. None of that is there in Road to Glory from the start. And it's just, I don't know, it's very, very bare bones. And also the dynasty mode, when I don't, this might be cleaned up by now. I haven't played a dynasty in probably a week or so, but when I was playing it, man, I was losing. I had when I was simulating, I would lose to like FCS teams, and my team would be like top 10 in the nation. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I wanted to play through the dynasty, sim a lot of the kind of bullshit games. That way I could recruit and focus a lot of my time and attention to doing the recruiting, which we all fucking love from the college football games. And it is pretty good here in college football 2025 as well. There, some critiques in that avenue as well. But what college football 2025 gets right, what EA got right, was the core fundamental gameplay. The moment to moment gameplay in college football 2025 is so damn solid. So for that alone, I'm going to throw it in the C tier with all of the asterisks attached to that statement. It's this feels very reminiscent of WWE from 2K20 to 2K22 when they took that year off after the abysmal 2K20. The 2K22, when it came back, it was a little bit bare bones. I don't know if y'all remember, but it was a little bit bare bones. Like the career mode wasn't that great. The GM mode wasn't that great. Like it was a little bit bare bones, and they just slowly tweaked and improved over time. And now we got an incredible career mode, and we had the road to WrestleMania, and then you have all these different things going on in 2K20 in 2K24 that are, I guess, which one was the GM mode first introduced back? Was that 2K23? No, I think it was 2K22. Regardless, 2K22 was pretty bare bones. Um, and it just slowly got better over time. But what 2K22 did right was the gameplay. They reanalyzed what makes a wrestling game great and just designed around that. And the first thing that's going to make any game great is the moment to moment action. How does it feel when you're playing the game? And college football just gets that right. The speed of college football is so much different from the speed of Madden. Having the option back in the mix, just the ability to flick that ball back, and it feels so much more fluid than it does in Madden. And yeah, I once again, there's some criticism you can even have with the gameplay. I do think that your like simple kind of run plays, like your stretch and your dive and shit like that, are typically really overpowered. And then you have on the other end, I think a lot of your pass plays are super undervalued or underpowered, where it just seems like any sort of jump ball scenario, the cornerback has a huge advantage over the receiver. But once again, those things are small tweaks that can be ironed out over time. It feels so damn good. So damn good to just play this game. So I'm gonna throw it in the C tier for now. Tons of room for improvement, but I'm overall pretty satisfied with the experience I had with college football 2025. All right, so I'm gonna speed this up a little bit, rapid fire run through a few of these bad boys back to back. Didn't mean to spend 10 minutes rambling about Balatro and college football 2025. We have Fable 2. I'm gonna throw Fable 2 in. I'm gonna go B tier for Fable 2. I thought it was a strong storyline, good revenge plot line. With your, I guess, spoilers for the first 30 minutes of Fable 2. Skip ahead if you don't want to hear not it's the beginning of the damn game, but your sister gets killed and you're out for revenge from that point on. And yeah, man, just simple hacking and slash combat. You get your ability tree that you can upgrade different powers. I really doubled down, tripled down on the Inferno, I believe was the ability I acquired, where you can do these crazy AoE attacks where you're conjuring up this ball of flames that's like just decimating characters, or these huge AoE attacks where you can spread out these flames for like a mile long, just hitting everybody that's in that attack radius. And yeah, dude, it's a really, really fun game. I do think that there's way too many random battle encounters that just I it's a fun enough combat system, but whenever it's repeated on a loop over and over and over again, it's like, I don't know, man. People want to play Fable for the story and run around and get tattoos and go and, find a wife and go and buy different clothing, and like the experience of just existing in that world is really why people play Fable. I think much more so than for the combat. But hey, just my opinion. But I would still say it's a B tier game. Really solid story, funny as shit, great humor. Life is Strange. I will go. I'll probably say B tier as well for Life is Strange. I think that in my opinion, this is one of the most hard-hitting adventure games I'd ever played in my life. And going into it, I heard a teen drama, soap opera, yada yada yada. And I don't really know why people throw those criticisms or put Life is Strange in that box, because it's really not at all, other than the fact that you play as a teen character, but it's not teen drama that you're experiencing at all. Like, it's real hard hitting shit. And there's a plot point in there, and I'll throw the spoiler tags up again. I'm not going to go too in depth, but like, there's a plot point in there that I was like, oh shit, are they alluding to human trafficking? And then this is a game that came out in 2012, 2011, something like that. They're talking about damn human trafficking. I mean, what other video game stories were going there at that time, or even now? There were some hard hitting elements, and I don't think they totally went there with that particular story arc. I do think they kind of flubbed the ending a little bit, and I think a lot of it is their Don't Nod's obsession with the time manipulation and different timelines and shit like that. And there was one great story to be told there, and a lot of other okay ones that I just wasn't as invested in. So that's why I'd put it in the B tier. But man, it's fucking really, really compelling, really, really compelling, and really well written. And also, the NPCs are so much more dynamic, and they feel so much more alive as you're just walking through the dorm and walking around the school, and like everybody has a purpose seemingly, and like kind of going and doing their own thing, and they just feel so much more alive than you see in most games, which that was really, really impressive to me. Hashtag blood. So I'm gonna throw this one in the did not finish but enjoyed camp. I thought that blood, so for one, it just got really damn hard. I was like, what the hell? This beautiful, unbelievably just Cartoon Network dripping from its DNA. Like, it is so aesthetically pleasing. It is one of the best looking games of the year, bar none. And if you're looking for a good, challenging kind of top-down action game, check out this hashtag blood. I just got to a point where I don't think the combat is the strong point of blood whatsoever. and they were really, really doubling and tripling down on these difficult encounters. I was like, dude, I'm not gonna put the effort to get good at this game when I don't feel like the combat is that good to begin with. The reason I was there was because, for one, the art style immediately sold the game to me. And then also just having like this fully explorable school and shit and roaming around and solving some puzzles and just the adventure game element of it, I was very, very interested in. But combat, not quite as interested in that. But yeah, I didn't finish it, but I did enjoy it. And it's also no difficulty settings. So like I wanted to keep playing. I was just gonna drop the difficulty down. Like fuck, combat's not that great. Who cares? I still just want to play the game. I just love the art style so much, and I'm sure it's only like I played maybe 4 hours of it. I doubt I had that much longer to go. If I really wanted to get good, I probably could have powered through. But I don't know how long Blood is, but I can't imagine I had that much more to go. So maybe I'll go back to it at a certain point if I want to bang my head against a wall for a little bit. GTA 5. So this is my first time replaying GTA 5 uh since probably 2016, 17, I would say. And I think Grand Theft Auto 5 in a really weird way is criminally underrated. And I know that sounds so weird. It's the highest selling game of all time, most profitable game of all time, 200 million copies sold. So how the hell is it underrated? And I think whenever you ask Grand Theft Auto fans like to rank their GTA games, and myself included, we would always kind of typically put GTA 5 towards the bottom. And after replaying it, I'm like, yeah, that's criminal, man. And then a lot of it is because the other games are so great, but GTA 5 is greater than almost any of those. And replaying it, I have a newfound appreciation for that game. From a cinematic storytelling perspective, it's not even close. Like Grand Theft Auto 4, I think I like the story. I think I like the writing more in Grand Theft Auto 4, but from a presentation standpoint, and not just a tech standpoint, like the way that they have the camera kind of feeling like the camera's moving as the characters are interacting with one another, and there's these weird camera angles for these cinematic shots, and it has a intimate sort of feeling that I don't see from most cinematic sort of presentation. Like you don't get that style of presentation in almost any other game. And I mean, from a mission variety perspective, GTA 5 is best in class. You got your awesome ass heist missions, which I could take a GTA 6 of nothing but heist missions. They're so fun, and the replayability. I think if they ratcheted the replayability up for those heist missions, like I could just replay those over and over and over again, picking different people, seeing different outcomes. But I mean, you're taking damn submarines to the depths of the sea. You're on helicopters breaking into buildings, shooting out the glass. You got bank robberies where you got Gatling guns. You're firing at motherfuckers. You're taking the damn, and the cool thing of having Trevor manning the helicopters and the planes, and Michael being proficient with the shootouts, and Franklin being able to use his slowdown ability while driving, and like it adds that strategic layer where each character has a specific purpose in the game. And I think all of those characters are really more compelling, more interesting than I remembered from my previous playthroughs. Like Michael, I think Michael, you can kind of make the argument as the closest thing we've ever seen to Tony Soprano in a video game. With his family life kind of falling all apart, and just trying to weave in that family life crime balance into the story. I think they did a fucking great job with that. Obviously, much more, which Sopranos is hilarious as well, but leaning much more into the satire and the humor with Grand Theft Auto 5, but still some sort of I definitely some similarities there. And I know people look at Trevor and think, oh, this is, psychopath with very few, if any, redeeming characteristics, but Trevor is like loyal to the core. And there's certain subtle things that you'll notice, like the tattoo with Michael's name on his arm, where because he thought Michael died, and then the whole time, he was writing notes to the dude in prison. I forget his fucking name, but the dude that won't spoil anything, but he's writing notes to this dude in prison, and he's plotting to break him out of prison throughout the entire game. And yeah, just he's loyal to his fucking core. So he's batshit for sure, but he's a loyal motherfucker. And then Franklin's like the dude that you just root for, because you're really not rooting for Trevor or Michael. They're both pretty unlikable humans, and then Franklin is so likable. So I think you try to hopefully see yourself through Franklin's lens and what you would be doing to coexist with two crazy motherfuckers like that if you were in Franklin's position. I think that's kind of the angle that they were trying to portray here. At this point, I'm just delaying the inevitable. I mean, this is an S tier video game. It just is simply an S tier video game. I I don't know what to tell you. It is as good as it gets. Speaking of S tier video games, Wolfenstein 2, as good as it gets for the first person shooter. Yeah, we'll throw it in the A tier because I think that is sort of the thing. It's I don't think it's as good as games get, but it's as good as games get for the first person shooter genre. Like for at least a narrative driven first person shooter experience, goodness gracious, this thing just hits so hard. There's moments from the story that I'll never forget in my life. And if you thought Wolfenstein 1 was over the top and you haven't played Wolfenstein 2 and you loved those like over the top alternate history sort of aspects, you got to play Wolfenstein 2. That you got to play Wolfenstein 2 just in terms of what they do with set dressing or different environments that you're getting to explore, and their recreation of these alternate history New Orleans, alternate history Manhattan, or wherever the fuck you go to some wild places throughout Wolfenstein 2 that I definitely was not expecting. I'll just leave it there. But at the same time, they have like a more grounded kind of, you get a real look at BJ, his backstory and his fucked up father, and like seeing what turned BJ into this machine fucking murderous just badass. You see what led up to you see what led him to become the man he is and to become that dude. The choice that you get to make about midway through the game that allows you to upgrade and get this, you get like one of three different abilities that you can pick. And dude, it was from that point on so goddamn fun. The whole time the gameplay was so fun, but from that point on, like I was Jerome Bettis, just lowering my shoulder, trucking into enemies, killing enemies just by running into them. And I won't talk about why you get the ability or how it comes about or even the specific augmentations of it, but it's so fucking fun. It's so fun when it's implemented into the gameplay. Brutally, brutally difficult game though. It is hard as shit. And I was just playing on the don't hurt me level, like the one right above what is it? Something can I play dad or some shit like that. Uh I was the one right above that. So I guess kind of the standard or normal or medium, whatever you want to call it. And I fucking struggling to get through Wolfenstein 2. So yeah, very, very punishing, but so damn fun. Gears of War 4. Um, Gears of War 4 is my favorite Gears of War for sure so far. I'm playing through the series for the first time. I'd put it at the top of the B tier. I don't think it's quite in Wolfenstein's company, but it's really, really impressive. Especially you see the jump in technology going from Gears of War 3 on the 360 to this being developed specifically for the Xbox One. And I mean, the destructible environments are so impressive. The character models look so much better. It still is very confusing to me why the game plays, or at least the character movement, why it's as clunky and stiff as it is. Whenever, like, it made sense when you're playing as Marcus and it's this big ass fucking tank that you're playing as, but like none of the characters that you play as in Gears of War 4 are tanks. You know what I mean? So it's like, why are we still moving like this? It just, maybe there's some sort of multiplayer reason for why they keep it that way, but yeah, it's like, well, we're never gonna get down some sort of normal movement. But yeah, the story is sick. The main character that you get to play as, I won't give away his backstory and importance, but I, it's great. And whenever it adds a lot whenever he and his team are standing next to, big classic tank style Gears of War characters, because it makes them look even more larger than life than we previously believed. Because whenever you have, you know, just one tank dude next to another tank dude next to another tank dude, there's really no discrepancies. So you're not able to appreciate how fucking jacked these dudes are. And then whenever you see them next to normal dudes, you're like, oh shit, this motherfucker is jacked. I also really appreciate that they're able to sit in the pocket a little bit in Gears 4. I thought Gears 1 did such a great job of taking in that atmosphere and really basking in that atmosphere, leaning into the horror a little bit. And then Gears 2 and 3 started to veer away from that. And then Gears 4 really, like, there's multiple moments where they just sit in the pocket. They slowly take you through these different buildings and environments, and I love the pace of Gears of War 4. So yeah, top of the B tier for me. And I also love the strategy elements that were implemented in, where you have I forget the fucking device, whatever it's called, but you can go and plant turrets and you can go and plant decoys, and you're adding that into the battle as these waves of enemies just kind of close in on you. And sure, it does feel a little battle arena simple-ish, but all the Gears of War games are maybe not as directly battle arena-ish, but at the end of the day, they're all pretty battle arena-ish. All right, so are you ready, my friends? I got one for you. Dungeons of Hinterberg. A tier. I think this is my current game of the year. It's between this or Dragon's Dogma 2. Dungeons of Hinterberg, if you have Game Pass, do yourself a favor and go play this thing. It is one of the most fun dungeon crawler meets persona sort of like mixtures, where you have the life sim element, where after you go out and you tackle your dungeons, you can go and interact with the different townspeople and you build up relationships. And for those relationships, you get certain benefits and buffs and different abilities and different weapons. And it is a game that throughout the entire experience is adding something new, something fun. The puzzles are so well designed with your abilities and with the different abilities that you're getting throughout the entire experience. And they're never they're always the perfect degree of challenge, at least for me, where it's like I'm so close to figuring you out, but I'm that one step away, and it just takes you that little moment of thinking to, I'm gonna try this for a second, I'm gonna try that for a second, I'm gonna fuck around for maybe 5 minutes, and then you end up figuring it out. That's the perfect, like, you're never stumped to the point of like, I don't, and if you look something up, it's that feeling of going, I could have fucking got that. I was right there. I know I could have solved that. It's never the feeling of I would have never looked there. I would have never, double tapped my heels 3 times and clicked on this square box to open up a door that I didn't know was like, it's never that shit. It's always right there. And I don't know. I loved the puzzle solving so much. The combat's really cool as well, but I just think they have some of the most well-designed, intelligent puzzles that I've ever seen in video games. The base setup for combat, it's like simple hacking and slashing, but you get crazy ass abilities in there as well. You get the ability to like throw tornadoes, or you get the ability to spawn a tornado. You can jump on top of the tornado and roll through different enemies, and you can also use this in just different navigation. There's this ledge that I need to get up on top of. How the fuck can I get there? Oh, let me spin up this tornado. I'm going to hop on top of the tornado, and now I'm able to reach this ledge that was previously unreachable. And then so you're using the abilities in combat, you're using the abilities through traversal and puzzle solving, and you get like this big ass blob that you can lock enemies inside of, this big green blob that you lock enemies inside of, and they're just completely they're unable to move for a moment. You go up and just hack the shit out of them over and over again. You have like a perfect dodge system, where if you dodge at the right time, it slows down time, kind of Bayonetta-esque, and gives you that extra advantage in combat. The combat's never really challenging, especially if you're going out and equipping, going to the store and buying the best swords and the best gear. And if your gear is leveled up, you're never really going to struggle with combat whatsoever, even just from a hacking and slashing perspective. But then when you incorporate the abilities into the mix as well, it's the combat's never really even close to difficult. I will say though, do be warned, it is a very, very long game, and I was not expecting that. When you boot up a game on Game Pass, an indie title, you're like, okay, 6, 7 hours, cool. It's about 20. It took me about 20 hours to finish this. And yeah, so I think you got like 30 dungeons or some shit that you are going through. And each of those dungeons take about, 30 minutes or so on average. So it's a much longer game than I was expecting. I also don't think the platforming is incredible. Like the decision to not have a jump button, I think was a mistake, but there's just too many pros that far outweigh those two small cons. Like getting a snowboard that you once again they implement it into the game so intelligently where you're using the damn snowboard with your puzzle solving and with your like there's so many smart design choices throughout this entire game. You get a damn kayak, you're rowing your damn boat in this lagoon area, going and activating lighthouses that kind of connect to one another, that open up different pathways. And it's it's a incredible game with an incredible art style with a well-written story. That's I've never in my wildest dreams would have expected this. There's no voice acting or anything, but really well-written, compelling story of this small town who is like they have this tourist attraction because of these dungeons and their access to magic, which nowhere else in the world has access to this type of magic. And then there becomes a conflict in that scenario with the not to spoil anything, but the magic kind of feeling like it's being manipulated. And then okay, you have politicians into the mix, and what are their effects on all of this? And it's and you also get to make light decisions throughout the game. Incredible video game. Fucking incredible. I can't believe that more people aren't just singing the praises of this game. One of the best games of the year. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to burn through Stunt Paradise and Still Wakes the Deep real quick, and then talk a little bit more about Yakuza 0, because I'm sure that that's one that people are a little bit more interested in. Stunt Paradise did not finish, but I enjoyed. Did not finish, did not really enjoy Still Wakes the Deep, if I'm being honest. I thought the game was really compelling until the point where you understand what when the mystery is revealed, it becomes much less interesting to me personally. Stunt Paradise, I was wanting to play uh Stuntman Ignition. And I saw it was like $20 on the Series X on the digital storefront. I was like, I'm not paying that shit for Stuntman Ignition. And then I saw Stunt Paradise pop up. I was like, oh shit, cool. And it was like $8 or whatever. So I was like, hell yeah, I'll check this out. And it's a really fun kind of 2D side-scrolling arcade racer, not a racer, but kind of a side-scrolling puzzle game, really. But you're using a car to solve the puzzles, and some of the puzzles are pretty intricate, but for the most part, it's just super, super chill. The later levels do get quite a bit harder, and it's one of those weird things where you play for like 2 hours and you get a damn 1,000 gamer score, like you platinum it or whatever, and the game still continues on for a little bit after that. Like there were still levels after that. And then the levels after that that I played were fucking really, really challenging. But yeah, Stunt Paradise, really fun, really chill game. Now, let's get to the big dog, the one that I'm sure pretty much everybody is the most curious about. Yakuza 0. I've finally begun my journey with the Yakuza franchise. Finished Yakuza 0, put about 30 something hours into it. I I really, really like the game a lot. I really think the story is very, very strong, very well written. Um, I do think that I'm a little bit spoiled by Judgment being my first entry into the Yakuza games, where I think Judgment's combat is like infinitely better. I shouldn't say infinitely better. They're very similar, but in this very similar structure, I think Judgment just far. outshines Yakuza. The speed, the sort of silliness of, Yagami running up the walls and drop kicking a dude off the wall, doing a backflip kick off the wall. I think the defensive kind of maneuvering in Judgment is so much better. And there's just certain things that I miss, like especially from Lost Judgment, having the skateboard and being able to just skate past all the motherfuckers who are trying to chase you down and not really having to think about that shit and just getting to the next thing that you actually want to do. The mini games, the Lost Judgment mini games are top tier for me. But regardless, let's talk about Yakuza Zero. Um, Storytelling wise, top tier for sure, top tier. There are some real annoying ass missions in this game of just like, okay, go run around for a little bit and try to figure out where to go. It's like, oh, okay. Or the mission where you like the escort mission, where you have this lady who you're having to protect, and it's just waves of dudes who are just trying to like take her, and her health bar is like dwindling nonstop, and uh, there's some annoying missions, and it if it was just a moment or two, cool, but I mean this is like hours of content that just feels pretty fucking tedious. I will say, Majima, the other main character that you get to play as, it kind of once he came into the mix, I didn't want to play as Kiryu ever again. When you have that bat combat, when he whips out the damn bat and he's able to just he's using the bat like nunchucks. It's fucking insanity, but that shit is so fun. And even when you upgrade Kiryu, I didn't think any of his stances or fighting styles were just, I didn't think they were that great. I like the one where you can press X and he instantly grabs, different items and weapons and just smashes enemies with them Hulk style. But that speed of using that bat as like a nunchuck, that was really, really sick. Some of the side quests in Yakuza Zero are absolutely god tier, just so funny. The comedic, like the humor in this game is so strong in a lot of those side quests where you got fucking the band who they're trying to learn how to act tough, and you're teaching them as Kiryu, or the one where you're like the movie producer on the set and you're fucking shit up nonstop. And there's just a lot of those instances where you're just doing shit that is totally outside of you. Like the one where you're giving advice on taxes it's crazy. It's so crazy. It's so silly. Like the mini games, I shouldn't even call it mini games, but the real estate, adventure that you get to go on, the fucking managing the nightclubs as Majima, the cat fighting that they introduced, that's like this fully it's, I shouldn't say fully fleshed out. You're pretty much just playing rock paper scissors, but how just fucking well produced it is. Like the character models and how they have this whole arena set up, and it doesn't feel like they waste, or it doesn't feel like they spare any expense when it comes to fun, when it comes to just creating silly fun side shit for the player to go and do. So yeah, I mean overall definitely really enjoyed my experience with Yakuza Zero. Um, I would put it's definitely not in that. It would be in the A tier, but it would be at the bottom of these three games in the A tier, for sure. I would say just not quite on that Judgment level to me. Uh, Judgment's the shit, man. Judgment is, especially Lost Judgment. Lost Judgment's one of my favorite games of the generation so far. But Yakuza Zero really, really fun. I don't After finishing it, I'm not as rushed to continue on with the franchise, though. I will say that. Like I'm gonna pace myself because I do think that playing through these back to back to back, like I am with Gears or something, I'll burn myself out like crazy, really, really quickly. Trying to do that with Yakuza, just the nature of them being 30 plus hour games, and just they have some rough edges. They have some real rough edges. So Yeah, man, those are my games of June and July that I have played ranked. Hit me in the comments down below. Let me know what you have played over the last couple months. Let me know what your favorite game you have played over the last couple of months is. And until next time, guys, take it easy, and I shall see you soon. Goodbye.